So yesterday I got a comment of someone from actually the Dominican Republic asking, after my other video I've done on plastering which I put out on Sunday, asking if I could tell them about what products I'm using, what materials I'm using, and how to get over to all of them. Links in the descriptions. So I said, of course I can, I'll do that for you. So with that said, let's get cracked on. Alright, Secret DIY here. So, I'm going to get cracked on today, and what's happening is I'm going to tell you basically about materials you need to basically to get started as a plasterer. And there's quite a bit of things, but I'll just go through the things that you really need. You don't need all these things, but these are just things that you might need, obviously, to get through, from putting the application on to obviously getting to the end product of polishing. So I'm going to start off with trowels. The trowels I like to use is a stainless steel, and you can also get carbon steel, and also there's wooden handles you can get as well, which I'll show you in a minute. So we're going to start off with the rubber handle, and this is just a Premiership pre-warning one, and I think at the moment they're going for about 80 to 90 quid. So obviously, but like I say, all the links are going to be in the bottom. It's something you need to obviously be applicating the plaster, the skim. Also you need a hand board that goes on with it. The hand board will obviously help you. This is where you put the stuff on to the hand board. Once you put the stuff onto the hand board, you start applying it to the wall. Once you start applying it to the wall, then obviously the process has been starting. So these are the things that you need, obviously, for anything you need. One of these and one of these. So then you've got different sizes. You've got size to get in different places, and you've got one this size as well if you're working around plug sockets, for argument's sake. So yeah, that's about it really for the trowels. I like to use stainless steel, and like I say, you can also get a wooden handled one, but I prefer the rubber. So I've just remembered I do have a wooden handled one. I forgot about this, and there's a wooden handled one you can buy as well, and they're the same price, like I say, stainless steel. And a little tip for you, because I'll put a few tips as we're going along. What I like to do as well, you can get these. I got these, I'm sure I got them off a friend, and all they are is go over a piece of paper, and then you can make a booklet out of things, and this holds everything in. It's like the spine for the booklet if you make a little booklet. But what I decided to do is I decided to put them over here, like so, like that. So they'll come on and just go straight over. The reason is when you put this in the back of your van, it stops them getting nicked. So there's a little tip for you. Right, on to the next one. So now we're going to be going onto what we're going to be putting the stuff on with, to get onto your handboard, which is a gauging trowel. Also my mates call it a scoop. So there's two types. You've got this type there, and then we've got that type there. This type is more beneficial for obviously when you're mixing up and to get a lot more onto your handboard. So that's why I would use that, because obviously 2 scoops of that compared to that, you get a lot more on your handboard, so there's less bending down and things like that, for argument's sake. So that's why I use it. But the other reason I've got this one is because of the curve on the end here, it's actually easier to clean out your bucket. It's easier to clean out your bucket, and also at the bottom when you're getting the last dregs, because you get into the last bit of the end of the end of your bucket, it's easier to get in the curves as well, to get everything out. So that's another reason I have it. So I always have 2 on me at each time, so I can get the stuff out of the thing. But that's it really for the gauging trowel. There's not much more. So then we're moving on to buckets. Now, as a beginner, I would be using a flexi bucket. The reason it's flexi bucket because it moves in and it's quite easy to use. The reason being is because when you're cleaning out your bucket, one the bigger you can, it's a lot easier to manoeuvre about as well, because you can move the handles in, and secondly the bigger. So you don't need to, all you need to do is put 1 bucket of water of this size into here, and then you put 1 bag of plastering, and I'm going to show you the plastering next. Obviously the reason I would say beginner use this is because it's easy to clean out, and also, like I was saying before, if I can find it, where have I put it? Oh, here. This here is why I'd use this for cleaning out, because it gets inside very easy, because that's cared for a reason for one of them. So that's that bucket. Then you're going to be going on to, obviously you're going to need 2 of these buckets. The reason you need 2 of these buckets is you need a dirty water bucket and you need a clean water bucket. And obviously, well, it says in itself, you've got your dirty water because you're going to be putting your brush inside the water and then putting it onto the wall to lubricate the plaster. So what's happening is every time you keep dipping in it, it's making it dirty, and also it's to clean your tools out, because all the time, like I said before on my video, you have to keep cleaning your trowel constantly. That is a must. So that's them. Then if you wanted to, because you want to obviously save space in your van, you've got a knee-high bucket. It's because once it's on the floor, it's about the size of your knee. Goes to the size of your knee. So these are alright, but like I say, they're more for when people have got a spot board. I don't really use a spot board. All that is just a board with obviously it's like a podium with a board on top, and then all you do is you put your plaster on top and you take your plaster from it. That's not something I have, not something I use. So yeah, they're the buckets. Now for a little bonus tip, to save some money, what I would do is I like to, obviously, if I can get hold of a painting bucket, use a painting bucket instead. Virtually the same size as them buckets, so you have no problems. Once you've used your paint, clean it out, saves you a couple of bob, and if you chuck it away, it doesn't matter, does it? But these, well, these have gone up in price, quite expensive. I'm sure about £5. But when you're doing a job and you reckon them, you know, it starts to become expensive. So anyway, so on to the next one, materials. So now we're going to get down to the materials, and obviously, well, what you're going to be putting on the wall. What you're going to be putting on the wall here is a multi-finish, and basically this is only for indoors, by the way. It's only for internal use, but it can be used over different backgrounds, like for argument's sake, hard wall, bonding, plasterboard, just over old skib if it wants to, because the walls are gone a bit not very good anymore and then being filled a million times with holes and everything, so you just use this. And like I say, it's a multi-finish, so it's basically for everything, anything like that. And if you want to keep yourself safe, this is what you want to be using. It's also good for beginners because you can go, what's the word I'm trying to think of here? You can actually go long, it takes longer to go off. So because it takes longer to go off, you've got a lot more time with it. Where if you go for a board finish, which is the same similar stuff, but it's more for boards really, but you can use it on different backgrounds if you want to. It says on the manufacturer's instructions. It goes off quicker, so if you're plastering day in, day out, it's perfect for you. That's what you want to be putting on. But this is stuff for beginners, and even professionals use this who do it day in, day out, because they get longer so they can get more meterage on the wall. So that's the plaster that you'll be applying to the wall with your handboard and trowel and all the other good stuff I've showed you. Then what you want to be doing is when you be coming to obviously putting the corners on, your angle beads, which are here. There's a little bit of an angle bead I've cut down. The angle bead, basically what you want to be doing is you want to be using clout nails, galvanised clout nails, which are here. So you want to be using your galvanised clout nails because they don't rust. So when you're plastering into your corners, it's absolutely fantastic and they're not rusting. So that's the other bit that you need, the essential bit. The other essential bit is to put down your joints or any cracks, which is plasterboard tape, which you need. The reason you need to use this is because it stops any cracks from coming through when the plaster's being applied. So you apply this to all your cracks and all your joints on any plasterboard or any other jointing material that you might use in obviously in your part of the world where you might be. Then what you need is you've got two different types of things here. Obviously you have to put this onto a hard wall before, on a plastered wall for argument's sake, before obviously you apply this. The reason is because it's a bonding agent. So bonds, you put this on first and it basically this bonds this to this. So then there's no problems, no cracking, no falling off. That can be applied with brush, which is another thing you're going to need, a brush, or can be applied with a roller like this, which I like to use sometimes to get more meterage on. Obviously you put the sleeve over it, but I haven't got a sleeve on me at the moment, I don't know where they are. So, but you want to be using one of these with a sleeve, but like I say, the links will be in the description down below. Got other stuff called PVA, but if you want no suction and you want it to go off on the allocated time, this is the stuff, it's SBR. And we've got SBR bond. And then you've got PVA, and PVA is the same stuff, it's exactly the same as the SBR, but I would be using the SBR over this. But if this is all you can get hold of, this is what you want to be using, PVA. But if you are going to be using PVA and you want to stop less suction, you want to be putting 2 coats on if you can. So I think, yeah, that's about it for that. So let's get on to the next one. So we're on the last few tools now, obviously to see you along your journey. And one of them is a corner trowel. You've got 2 different sizes of corner trowels. Obviously it's the same in the name. Basically you're just using it to straighten your corners out and sorting your corners out and whatever. So I've got this little small one here, and I've got a bigger one. Bigger one puts bigger ridges in. So I went out and bought myself a smaller one. I do find the smaller ones better. It gets in a lot better and it's a lot more friendly, usable for beginners, let's say. So I would recommend getting them, getting a smaller one if you're going to get one. Also as well, you need brushes. So I would use a synthetic brush. The reason I'd use a synthetic brush is because they last a lot longer, to be fair. And just lasts a lot longer than pony head brushes. So, and you can also pick up 5 of them for about £9, synthetic brushes, as you can see there. And you can pick them up for about £9 in Tool Station. I got these from, and they're also great for painting if you've got any painting jobs to be doing. So it's a double whammy on that one. Then a little tip, and then you've got your small tool. You've got your small tool to get in places where you're going to struggle, obviously in little corners, and these are great. These sort yourself out, and also they're great as well if you just leave a little bit of fat on the side of your bucket. If you want to do a little bit of patching up and it's in a corner where you're struggling to get in, to finish the job off, to make the job look, well, obviously to finish the job off, to make it look really good so Mrs. Jones is happy. So that's a small tool. From the small tool you need your tin snips. Your tin snips are obviously for what I showed you before when you're putting your angle beads up. And they're just to cut your angle beads. And remember, when you're using your tin snips, make sure you cut them so they look like this. So look like that. The reason being is because then when the other one butts up like so, you don't get any flappy bits here. If you have them straight going like that, they all flap, and when you come to put your plaster on, it's a struggle. So just cut them like that basically. Then a little extra one is you've got your sponge. Now if you're a beginner and you're really struggling, I would recommend a sponge. The reason all you do is put it into your water, in your bucket in your water. Let me get a bucket right there. Put it in your bucket of water, your dirty water, and you spread it on all the way across the wall. And what that does, it brings the plaster back, so it gives you a lot more time for you to be able to polish it and get it where you need it to be, ready for polishing basically. So yeah, that's about it. Also, that's another one, scraper. We're going to have a scraper in your bag or your bucket, whatever, and flexible one really. Get snots off, not just get snots off as well. It helps you get under places where you can struggle to get in, like for argument's sake underneath switches that are awkward, and you can also buy different sizes of these for different types, obviously different types of jobs. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend as well. A little tip for you: put a screw like so in the side of your brush, and what you do is when you come and put it on your bucket, it stops it from falling in. Happy days. Nearly forgot. Mixer. So you need your mixer. I've got a corded mixer here. Obviously you plug it in. The reason I've got a corded mixer is because it's the cheapest. A mixer like this you can pick up for about 50 quid. They're not really expensive really, and they save you hours and hours of work. So you don't have to be mixing up by hand or anything like that, and I wouldn't preferably use by hand anyway, due to the fact that you get lumps. You can also buy battery powered ones, but they're like up to £300 to £400, so that's how much you're spending on one of them. If you're going to get one of these, I'd make sure you get like a wide, I wouldn't use one like this, I'd get a wider one, wider paddle, and that'll obviously make it easier for your mixing. So when you're mixing everything up, it gets the lumps out better. Also as well, for a little tip to keep all this crud off and all clean, and also you can use this for you cleaning your trowels and whatever. And I've done a video on this as well, which I'll leave at the end. Is bicarbonate of soda. Put some this in. Put some hot water in a tub. Put the likes of this in at the bottom, and it takes all the rubbish off. Leave it for a couple of days and come back sparkly new. So if you've got a week off, put this stuff in, put it in, you go on holiday, come back, give it a little sand down and a clean, and you sort it. And also, for a little tip, you can put your clout nails inside it when you're finished. So you've got a little tub to put in your box, so you've always got some clout nails right next to you. So that's about it really. That's everything I can think of covering to try and help you get on. If there's any plasterers out there who do see this and you think to yourself, well, you didn't mention this, you didn't mention that, put down in the comments below. If anyone else has got any more questions, like the good friendly person in Dominican Republic had, please let me know. Get in touch with me through the comments, and I'll try my best to help you out. So with that said, I'd just like to say thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.